Oh, there we go. We are streaming now. Okay. Man, my phone's so far away I can't even read any of the comments there. That's probably not good. Anyhow, let's see. That's not the caller. Oh, that's that. Yeah. There we go. Get a little music going on. Anyway, this is Hack Nation Live. I'm Aaron Bennett with Hack Nation. This is a call-in centric show where the callers basically drive the conversation. The number for the call-in show is 573-422-4225. If you're watching from TikTok, we encourage you to go over to YouTube or Facebook and watch there. You can actually hear the caller and hear yourself if you are the caller. So we already have one caller. We're going to go ahead and take him, I guess, and we'll make sure everything's working. So it's perfect. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on the air. How can I help you?
Yeah, I had a question. So I bought an intake and exhaust manifold on my X15 back in November, and I didn't purchase the installment kit or the bolts and spacers for it. I went ahead and I purchased PAI parts for it, and right off the gate when I had the mechanic install it, it started leaking through the gaskets. So I had them replaced because I thought maybe I bought bad ones. Again, it was the same thing, PAI parts. And right away, they started leaking. And then I went ahead and I replaced them again with OEM Cummins parts. Again, it started leaking. So just about a week and a half ago, I purchased the original PDI parts, the gaskets, bolts, and spacers. And again, it started leaking. So I'm kind of running out of patience here because my exhaust manifold keeps leaking, and I don't know what's wrong with it now.
Is this a new head or it was an existing head?
It's an existing head. It only has about 130,000 miles. I mean, but then again, it's Cummins.
Sure. I mean, we don't want to just throw it under the bus just because it's red, right? So long story short, I mean, you kind of already answered your own question. You've done pretty much every manufacturer out there, and just for reference, even if I'm using PDI or using or I'm using like full tilt or something, I almost always use either McBee or PAI exhaust stud kit and manifold gaskets because that's usually the kits I'm using. Does that make sense?
Correct.
So the problem obviously isn't in the kits that you're using. You've used OEM, you've used PAI, you've used PDI, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So either the guys that are doing it, I'm catching a lot of echo from you, brother.
Is that better?
Yeah. So either the guys that are doing it for you keep messing it up over and over, which is highly unlikely. You know, the 3 tries later, I'm sure they've got it right at some point, right? So it's much more likely that the surface of the cylinder head is causing your problems. It's not exactly flat. Or the surface on that brand new exhaust manifold is compromised for some reason right out of the box. Both of those are highly likely. Both scenario is very, very well could be the issue. But I think at this point you can rule out the mechanics aren't doing a good job. You can rule out the parts aren't holding up to the job because you've used 3 different manufacturers. You're only left with one thing. That cylinder head surface is messed up and it's not sitting flat across all 6 exhaust ports, right? I mean, I hate to say it, you might be stuck with getting a new head, but I would look really close at that manifold. Somebody needs to put a straight edge on that manifold and on that head and see where you're coming up short.
Okay, yeah, I kind of figured it was something like that because just yesterday, the mechanic went ahead and retightened the bolts, and today I didn't get a heavy load. It was only like 30,000, but I mean it's some weight, so I was pulling up a decent hill pretty good, and then I delivered that load, and then I got reloaded with maybe like 12,000 pounds, and I went up a smaller hill, and I noticed it was struggling more, and I was like, what the heck? And sure enough, I got to my next stop, popped the hood open. Sure enough, there was soot all over the same place it was before. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, but you kind of already deduced it down just by describing what you've went through. It's pretty obvious that one of those two is not sitting flat. And it's just as likely to be either one, but a straight edge will tell you which one it is, and you can move on with life. If it's the manifold, send it back, have them give you a manifold that's not messed up. And then if it's the cylinder head, you kind of either gonna have to, you're gonna have to get a new head. You have no way around it.
Yeah. Okay. But the only thing because I did think about both the head and the manifold, the exhaust manifold. But the only thing I was thinking with the head is how come it wasn't doing it with my old manifold? Because like I said, I just got it installed, and it wasn't until I installed my the PDI manifold is when it started doing that.
Right, but it's probably the manifold.
So it might be the.
It's probably the manifold, but you just need to check
Okay.
it. I mean, crazier things have happened, right?
Right.
So, just straight edge. Somebody, you just need a straight edge, and a good level would probably work, in a pinch. But you get it all cleaned up and put that across all 6 of them, and I bet you're going to see a gap where you've been having a blowout. Is it blowing out in the same spot every time?
Yeah, I kind of. Yeah, just about.
Right. So there you go. All right, brother. I think you're gonna have this one handled.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good
Thank
day,
you for your
man.
time.
Yep. Good luck.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Again, guys, this is Hack Nation Live call-in show. It's geared by you guys. You guys decide what we're going to talk about. The number is 573-422-4225. If you're watching on TikTok, even though I appreciate you, we encourage you to go to YouTube or to TikTok or Facebook to watch this. You can hear the audio from the caller. All right, we're going to go ahead and go right to the next caller. Hello, you're on the air.
What?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're on the air.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I was listening to the show in the background. Hey, so I've got a 2008 Peterbilt, a Cummins CM871. It's deleted, and I recently got the long block for it. It was installed. Everything's good to go. They messed with the computer program, and now it's got big time turbo lag. No one's been able to figure it out yet.
And you didn't have turbo lag before you messed with the tune?
No. We did the delete and the tune in the old motor that blew up. Ordered a long block, installed that. Same ECM, same external components. Everything went on the new motor, and now it's got turbo lag.
Define turbo lag. What's it doing?
So every time I switch gears or whatever the case, it'll take 4-8 seconds before I start spooling up to like 20 and then 30, 35 pounds.
But it does spool all the way
But
up.
if I don't hit it on the high side, it eventually spools all the way up, but it takes forever compared to what it used to do.
Sounds like your turbo's too big.
It's got the one that it calls for, the VGT turbo.
Oh, you have a VGT turbo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's ISX 600.
Okay, so it's probably and this was a turbo that was on the other engine, so it's a little bit older.
Same type turbo, but this has been a new one since the new engine's put in.
Okay, and it did it from day one.
No, not day one, but shortly after the new motor was installed. I took it somewhere and did the overhead on it after the 10,000 mile mark.
Yep.
And they checked on the computer programming. Ever since it left there, I've had the turbo lag.
So
I know that's a hard one, but
no, I mean,
everybody since then hasn't been able to figure it out.
So it's what it sounds like to me, because it spools all the way up, is an indicator that you're not having any kind of fin problem, right? So because the turbo's still able to do its job, but because it lags and there's this lag time before it starts to go, it's not actuating properly. So either your actuator is messed up, or it's not calibrated right, or the turbo itself is gummed up a little bit and that actuator has to push like hell before it finally break her free. One of those three things is going on.
You don't think it has anything to do with the programming and somebody touched it, didn't know what they were doing quite?
Probably not. Probably not. Unless they cut the balls off of it and it's not getting any fuel, so it's not getting enough fuel to spool up. That would be the only way.
Oh, to maybe help you, whenever they mess with whatever they messed with, and I got the turbo lag, it also took away my third stage on the engine brake.
Okay, so your VGT's not working. That's what's going on. The turbo's not sliding all the way back, and it's getting stuck, and then it'll pop free. That's why you're getting your turbo. You need to get a short turbo, man. Your actuator's probably fine. But your VGT is not pulling all the way back where it gets you your max pressure. That's why you lost your third stage of jakes, and then it's getting stuck there when you're trying to get back into it. Guaranteed that turbo's messed up. You probably
that's nothing, and
it correlates, man. It correlates. That the turbo is no good. Why it's no good, I couldn't tell you, but that's what's going on. It's getting hung up. And it's most
gotcha. And you're pretty sure that wouldn't have nothing to do?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And whether they did something to your tuning or not, it's totally aside, right? This is that what you're describing.
Okay.
What you're describing is that turbo, 100%.
Can I do away with that VGT and put some other type of turbo?
I can't give advice like that on here, man.
Oh, okay.
But
all right. Well, I guess I'll do some research. I don't like the
the VGT turbos kick ass. They absolutely kick ass. The biggest mistake guys make, in my opinion, is they don't clean everything coming into that VGT. They're not taking their EGRs, getting them cleaned. They're not, when they're installing a new turbo, they're not taking the extra time to go clean everything out. That's the real downfall of the VGT, in my opinion. So right now, your turbo is working properly, except for it's not coming all the way back, right? So you're not getting the jakes, and then once it's coming back, it's getting hung up, and you're not able to throttle it back out, and it'll just pop freeze what's going on. Once you put so much freaking fuel to it, it just finally gives. So you can buy a short turbo. You don't have to buy the whole freaking kit and caboodle. And they're kind of reasonable. Depends on where you're going to get one, right? I get all mine from.
What's a short turbo when you say that?
So the turbo has an actuator on it, right? And you don't have to.
Yeah, on the top, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to buy that. You can just take that old one and put it on your new turbo. That's called a short turbo, and you pay way less.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, brother.
Yeah, I think that actuator by itself is like $1,800. But yeah, I'll take a look at it. I'll let them know.
Yeah,
they were all convinced that it was something to do with the programming.
Nah, I get all mine from HHP. There is another spot I can get them a little cheaper, but I'm worried. I don't want to give out the information of the other spot because I've never had to deal with a warranty with them, and I worry a little bit more about somebody standing behind them than I do about $400 in savings. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Where are those guys at? I'm down in Texas.
Oh, you can find them on the internet, man. Highway and Heavy Parts.
Okay.
All right, brother. Good luck.
All right, that'll work. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
All right, guys. We got quite a few callers already, so I'm going to keep running down them. Hang on. I'll get right to you. Again, this is Hack Nation Live. I'm Aaron Bennett. The number to call in is 573-422-4225. I'll be here till 9 o'clock. I'm going to try and get out of here at 9 today. So let's just burn them up. This is Doug, looks like. Doug, you're on the air.
Yeah, I got questions for you about the Series 60 Detroit. I got a 99 built one because I run E-Log exempt. It's got 2.2 million on it. I've had it rebuilt twice. First time was by a guy who did not do a good job. I don't want to name any names. But there was a crack underneath in the block, underneath the liner. They didn't find it. Second time it was rebuilt, they found it. They cut it out. And Detroit repaired the block. My question is for you, one of them is, what's operating temperature? You're constantly preaching that, because I can only get this thing with OEM thermostats. In most of the time, it runs around 175, 180 water temperature, and about the same on oil temperature. Now, everything in this truck, from the air-to-air radiator, is all less than 2 years old now. I have replaced rear ends, transmission, all that. So what's operating temperature? And I have another question on why I keep cracking manifolds.
Operating temperature, what a desirable operating temperature is anything above 180. And what you really
I have a hard time keeping above that.
I understand, but what you really want to see, what you're really after there, is you want to see it climb up, occasionally climb up there to the 220, 218 mark, where that fan comes on all by itself. That's like the most desirable thing that you can have happen as many times as possible, really. In the course of operating in a day, if your engine fan comes on its own 4 or 5 times in a normal operating, 12-hour day or whatever, that would be optimal. But keeping it always above 180 is really what I'm trying to tell you. If you just can't do it, I highly recommend throwing not covering up the whole radiator or anything like that, especially the air to air, but maybe covering the 1/3 of the bottom of the radiator. Bring the temperature up. It's not going to kill it.
The fan kicks on automatically right at maybe 205 at best.
Okay, but you got to remember
it automatically kicks on at 205.
You got to remember where you're reading the coolant and where the truck reads the coolant is not the same, right? So you're probably running a little hotter than you think you are. If you're coming on at 205, then you're probably spot on, because the actual temperature of the coolant is probably, a good 10 to 15 degrees hotter than what you're seeing there. And that's why it seems like it's coming on so soon. I wouldn't worry about it, man.
Okay.
What was your other
the other question is right where the turbo and exhaust manifold meet. I'm on the 4th exhaust manifold. I get little fissure cracks that happen there. And I just, today, the exhaust manifold on this is less than a year old, along with the turbo. And I'm getting small cracks again. And I got a pyrometer. It runs, when I'm pulling hard, it'll get up to maybe 1100 degrees. Most of the time it's around 9. I do get off road a lot, and I pull some heavy shit.
Sure.
But it's not a pavement princess. It does work.
Where is it cracking at?
Right where the exhaust manifold meets the turbo, where the 4 bolts bolt the turbo to the exhaust manifold.
Yep.
Right on the top.
Pretty
front side.
Well, it's gonna have to be one of those times when I tell you I don't know why they do that, but you're not the only truck that suffers from that. And it's not endemic to the 60 series, but we tend to see it more on the 60 series than anything else. And I don't know why. I think it might be partially just the way the turbo hangs on there, because we occasionally have to replace 60 series manifolds just for that reason. And I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm not just going to sit here and feed you a line of shit so people think that I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So on that one, I
Appreciate that.
I honestly don't know. You don't see it as much on other engines, you know. You'll see it some on, you know, especially on Cats. You don't really ever see it, but you do see it on the 60 series Detroits, and I don't know why that is.
Okay. What's your opinion of I know you're a Cat man, but what's your opinion of a Series 60 versus a Cat?
Well, I mean, everybody calls me a cat man. I don't know if that's because they see we do so many cats, but if you want the honest truth, we do more Cummins than any engine by far. And we do a hell of a lot of Detroits, especially the 60 series from the, you know, the 12.7s and 14 liters. I don't think there's ever a time in our shop during working hours when there is not somewhere between 2 or 3 60 series Detroits being worked on. So obviously, we're very familiar with them. I have owned a couple of them, and my personal opinion of them is no one can really talk down on them as far as the metric of longevity, right? Your 60 series Detroit, by and large, is dependable to way over 1,000,000 miles, you know, and it's not like it's a phenomenon to have a 60 series Detroit go 1,000,000 miles, right? They consistently do it across the board, and it's more of a rarity to have one that doesn't make it that far than to have one that does. So no one can sit here and say anything bad about the 60 series in that regard, right? The only problem I have with them, especially the 12.7s, is, you know, when you get down to the D-Deck 2s, the D-Deck 3s, you know, they weren't built for horsepower, and guys will try to put horsepower to them and just wreck the crap out of them. They don't oil through the rod, and they don't have oilers and all that, you know, and unless you're getting up to the D-Decks that have oilers, you're really doing yourself a really big disservice by turning them up. But even if you turn them up, they don't have the displacement for power. So as long as the guy's happy with the power band he's got, they're a great engine, right? It's really only when guys mess with them, you know, and guys will brag that they can put 900 horsepower to a Detroit, but we see them in here all the time and they're absolutely wrecked, right? They are wrecked. They'll bust whole chunks out of the head. That counter ledge that you were talking about in the beginning there, that it was wrecked on yours. You know, guys that really crank them up, we have to send them out and get it. Instead of doing counter bore, we got to re-sleeve them. And they just get the crap tore out of them when you put horsepower to them. They just don't have the displacement to be putting out what guys try to make them do.
Okay. One more question, if you got time here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 99 built International 9900. I know a lot of people don't. Oh, it's an International. Mm-hmm. I like a work truck. I would love to swap a C16, if possible, into this. Is that possible? What? It has a high torque, but I'm told hardened 18-speed.
What year is it?
It's actually a 2000, but it was built in October 99.
So you can do anything you want.
I want to stay ELOG exempt.
You can put anything you want in that thing legally, right? You can pretty much put anything you want in that thing.
Right.
So the sky's the limit. Here would be my contention with that, right? Is if you were going to repower that thing, I would stay within the family of engines that you're in, because it will be so cost prohibitive and the value of the truck just isn't there, right? So if you stay, you step up to a D, but then again, you're taking yourself from an E-Log to a no longer E-Log. So you're kind of really stuck, right? So if you were going to try to go to a Cat or something, you're going to be into that thing at least 5 to 6 times the value of the truck. And you'll never get the value back out of the truck. So unless this is my dad owned it and I'm never getting rid of it type deal, I highly recommend you don't even entertain it.
All right. Okay.
I mean, sounds like
I
it does.
appreciate the time.
Sounds like it does the job for you anyway, brother, man. Just take care of her and get her done. Make money.
It does pretty good, and yeah, it makes money. But I'd like to have a little more power, and I don't want to get rid of the truck, but I don't know if I want to rebuild this Detroit again when it's time.
Yeah, just fight the urge to put too much power to it, or you'll be rebuilding it soon.
Yeah, she's set where it's supposed to be set. It says 550 on a valve cover, and that's what it's got.
Perfect, man. All right, well, good luck to you, man, and have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
Bye. Again, guys, we got quite a few callers. I'm just gonna keep ripping through them here, because I do want to get out of here. I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I don't want to make this a long one. But we got plenty of time, so just hang on. If you're watching on TikTok, we encourage you to go over to YouTube or to Facebook and watch it. You can hear the audio of the caller. The number is 573-422-4225. I'm Aaron Bennett. This is Hack Nation Live, and let's get into it. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey, quick question for you. I got a Acert. It's completely stock. It's got like the pre-cooler and everything, both turbos. And I got low boost and high pyro temps. And I have checked everything. The only thing I haven't done yet is pressure test the air-to-air cooler, or the air-to-air. But that's about it. Everything else is fine. I don't have any black smoke.
Everything's stock?
Or any smoke at that point. Yeah, it's 100% stock, yeah.
And so from the factory, you haven't messed with the exhaust system at all?
I haven't. No, I bought it from a guy, and he said he never did anything to it. So
okay, so
I've only had this is my second year owning it. So
I'm not telling you to remove them, but I am going to tell you that the stacks on that Acert have a catalytic converter, and probably long ago they started to get plugged up, and now they're plugged up to the point where they're not passing any air. So you
okay, I guess I don't have that. Mine's straight from the turbo out.
They're in the stacks.
It's all 5 Earl. Well, I got straight pipes on my stacks as well.
Okay, so that's why
I got 7-inch straight on them.
If the exhaust has been messed with, so that if that's not the problem, then and everything's a factory tune, there's really only one thing that can get you too hot, right? And that's you're not moving air, and you're either not moving air because one of your turbos is taking a crap on you, or you have a massive boost leak somewhere.
Okay. With the turbo going out on me, would it be like would there be any smoke, like?
No, I mean
that's anything like that?
One of the worst things about the Acert is you can 9 times out of 10 you can never tell if you have a turbo out. You know what I mean? Because you got 2 of them, but you can kind of figure out which one is no good just by figuring out where you're lacking the most boost. If you sit there and stand on it for long enough, will you finally build up some pretty decent boost? If the answer is yes, then your lower turbo's out. If you get decent boost taken off and it just won't build anymore, your upper turbo's out. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's what's happening. I can take off like a bat out of hell, but when I get over to my higher side of my transmission and stuff like that, to my last, 4 or 5 gears, it kind of falls on its face a little bit.
Yeah, that's when the high pressure turbo takes over.
Okay, so here's a question for you. I saw one of your videos where you had the different sleeves in a cat, and one of them was a PAI, I think, or PTA. I don't remember what the brands were. Are their turbos any good? I think it was PAI or PIA.
When I'm getting stock turbos, HHP, and I don't want to sound like a broken record where I'm just promoting them. I'm just telling you what I use, right? I use their in-house branded turbo, or like a Garrett, because they're affordable and the Acert turbo is already bulletproof, right? Most of the time,
Right.
I'm rebuilding Acerts for guys that have well over 1 million miles on them, and the original turbos are on there, and nobody's considering changing them, right? And you have a pre-cooler, so
Right. Yeah. See, I almost got 2 million on this. So.
right. So, I mean, that turbo from Cat's pretty freaking expensive, right? So I always just get them from HHP, and they're not expensive at all. They're comparable to a regular old C15 turbo, so that's where I get them.
Okay. And then last question, is it worth single turboing an Acert?
I mean, I do them all the time, right? Our most famous build is our 640 build that we do. People call about it. In fact, we had 7 inquiries just today about it, right? So I can't sit here and say that it's not something that we don't do. But personally, like my personal truck that I drove the crap out of, I had a MXS Acert till I took it off a cliff in Alaska and rolled it down a mountainside. And then from there, I got into a 379 that had a BXS. And I never, ever considered deleting the turbos, ever. And I pulled some of the craziest shit in the craziest places in the United States and never even considered it. I love twin turbos. I absolutely love them to death. They're my jam. So
yeah, this thing pulls like a freight train.
Exactly. So you just answered your own question.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. You have a great night, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a good night and good luck. All right. I'm going to just burn them up. Here we go. Brandon, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. I just bought a 12.7 in Detroit, and what I was wondering if you could help me with is the engine serial number on the valve cover is wore off. It's a 99 model when it was built. Where could I find it besides there on the valve cover? So I'm not chasing my tail. I'd looked all over the block and stuff. Is there a certain spot on the block where it's at?
Yeah, you have a flat spot on the block. I believe it's on the driver's side. Now you're going to make me have a brain fart, but there's a flat spot right on the block, a machined flat spot about the size of your hand, and that's where you're going to find it. But is the engine original to the truck?
Yes. Yes, it is. That is the one good thing I loved about it.
Yeah, you just and it's what is it in?
It's in a 2000. It's manufactured in 1999, but it's titled in 2000. It's a 9400 International.
Okay, so that's super simple, man. You just get a hold of
Yep.
any international dealer. All right, you don't even need an international dealer, really. You can call Peterbilt or Kenworth, and if they're not dickheads, they can tell you exactly what the engine serial number was that came in that truck. That's probably the easiest route.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
And 90% of the places will just give you that information for free.
Okay, so I can call International or Freightliner or whoever?
Yep, I would call Freightliner. They'd probably help you in a heartbeat. You bet. And they'd be able to tell you exactly what came in it.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, as far as my understanding, that is the original motor to that truck, and I'm pretty darn sure it is. I'm really sure that it is. Because
yep.
I mean, it even looks like it and everything.
It probably is. So just give them a call and they can figure it out for you in probably less than a minute.
Okay. I was looking to put a one more thing real quick before I let you go. If you don't care. I was looking to put one of those external oil filters on. What's a good brand of that?
I don't have the answer to that question because I only ever use spinners. So only thing I can tell you.
Spinners.
Yeah, I only ever use spinners. But if I could go back and do it all again, I'd probably do bypasses instead of spinners. They're both very effective, but I just have opened dozens and dozens of engines that have bypasses on them. And if I was ever running trucks again, they would have bypass filters on them, just from what I've seen. I wouldn't even think twice. 100%.
Oh, okay. So they're just called the bypasses. I guess.
Yeah,
just look
yeah.
that up.
And I don't know what the brand to have is because I have no personal experience with them other than seeing them. I have lots of data on them, but I have never experienced using one.
Your son sells them, don't he, over at his shop?
I don't know, man. My son's has pretty much everything on planet Earth, but I don't know if he has them or not.
I thought that was. I think I seen a video of him putting them on, and he was talking about it.
Yeah, he puts them on, but I'm sure he does, man. I'm sure he does carry them. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. That kid's got everything.
Okay.
But,
yeah. Alrighty then. So a '99 model 12.7. That's a DDEC 4, right?
Man, there's a better way to find out than asking me.
Gotcha. Color National. I got you, man.
Yep.
All
right, brother.
I'll figure it out. I get the serial number. Thank you.
Yep. Good luck, man.
All right. See you.
All right, guys. If you're watching on TikTok, I appreciate you, but you can hear the audio of the caller if you go to YouTube or Facebook, and we are streaming live there. I better check, make sure. Are we actually streaming live there? Oh, yes, we are. All kinds of questions. Just so you guys know, I can't actually see all these questions that you guys post up on Facebook and TikTok or YouTube because I have to be in the call-in studio screen. So otherwise, I can't take the calls. So I'm just letting you know. Do appreciate all the comments, though. Sometimes it gets pretty lively in there. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello, this is me again, the one that was asking about the leakage on the exhaust manifold. I just remember you had mentioned, I didn't think about that till after I hung up. But you had said, so just in case I do end up having to get a new manifold, is it okay to use PAI gaskets and bolts again, or would I have to go with PDI or Cummins parts?
Well, I mean, I use Interstate McBee and PAI because they're the most reasonable and they make really good ones. PAI makes a really good one. It's all stainless. So you've already proven that using different brands makes no difference. So I would get PAI because it's the most affordable and the best quality for the price.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I went with them, because there's a truck part shop around the corner from where I station my truck, and it's way cheaper than using Cummins and PDI parts. So that's why I went with them. But I just figured it was maybe the fact that I went with them and not PDI that caused all these problems, but apparently not.
Yeah,
because everybody else has given me the same problems.
Interstate McBee has a really nice kit as well, and it's actually quite a bit less expensive than PAI's even. But the problem is I mean, if it's a problem, but theirs aren't stainless, so they rust out pretty quick. I mean, not that it hurts anything, but if you want it to look nice, then you want to use the PAI ones. All right, brother?
Yeah, okay. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was my only question. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Have a good night, man.
Thank you, too.
All right. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, brother. I have a question. I have a DD15. It's a 2015 model, DD15. And the fuel keeps going back to the tank. So I already checked the check valve on the fuel pump. I checked the check valve on the fuel water separator, but continue to go back. I took it to a shop, and they did it like a pressure test to see if it was like any lines had a leak on it, and they couldn't find anything. I double check and triple check, and it's still having the same problems. I mean, the truck can't go over 12 hours without losing fuel pressure.
Man, there's so much going on with the fuel system on a DD15. There's so much going on there. That's basically an impossible guess for me from here. I mean, I would just be pulling shit out of my ass because look at all the different high pressure lines that you have on that thing. Any one of those could be leaking a little bit, and you're going to lose all of your prime. So that's just too difficult to make a call from here, man. You need to get it somewhere where somebody knows what they're doing. You know, maybe the guys at Worldwide will call in and give us some input. We'll have to see. I know that they typically watch these all the time.
Do you know where I can actually take it to? Because I took it to two different Freightliners, and both of them, you know, it was over $1,000, man. And you know, they got me out of my money, and I never got it fixed. And he told me, hey, he thought, you know, we couldn't find anything, but we put enough pressure in the fuel line, so you should be good to go. But you know, once I park, turn off the truck, you know, be off for about 10 hours, 12 hours, the truck is having the same thing, and I have to prime it. And another thing, like when I prime it, I feel like I keep priming it, and it won't crank out without the
ether,
without, you know, like the starting fluid.
Yeah.
No, without the starting fluid. Like, even I took the filters off and put some fuel directly there.
Yep. So you know that the problem is, you can pretty much assume that the problem is somewhere between your fuel filter and the return line check valve. But there is so much, there's so much going on there, you know. What I would recommend, because the guys I know that know the most about those DD15s, you can find them on TikTok. I'm not sure if they're on Facebook or not, but they're on TikTok. It's Worldwide Diesel. I would reach out to them and see if maybe they can give you some insight and help you out.
Okay, I appreciate it. I'll give them a call. Thank you.
I don't want to give their number out because they haven't given me permission to do that, but you can find them. They're on TikTok, Worldwide Diesel, okay?
Okay, thanks, buddy.
All right, brother. Have a good night and good luck with that one.
You too. Thanks.
All right, we're just going to run right into it, guys. You're on the air. Hello.
Hi, I got an N14 I'm getting rebuilt, and I pretty much, you're the first person I heard from about, you know, how serious it is, the break-in process. But I'm here in East Texas, so, I mean, I don't have any hills. I mean, I'm going to have to drive 60 miles, probably 50 miles to even get a load. I was just wondering what your opinion is with less than ideal conditions on how to break that motor in properly.
So to break it in properly, what you're looking for, and it doesn't matter how you achieve that, right? Whether it's a hill, a heavy load, or standing on the brake, or dyno, or whatever it might be, all you're trying to achieve is, you know, shortly after it first starts up, you need to get it hot under load, right? And what that means is your indicator of it getting hot is the engine fans coming on independent of you turning it on. And it's happening while you're making boost.
Okay. So what these guys say is pretty much after they rebuild it, they're going to start it up and run it for a half hour just in their shop.
And that would be
idling.
The worst thing they could possibly do. The worst thing they can possibly do to it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. Well, you know, it's one of these old time mechanics. I mean, I almost had to spend it was almost $18,000 just on heads for this truck because they just wanted to go with OEM. Thank God they couldn't get them. So I was able to call Highway and Heavy Parts and get them for about $4,000 altogether. But yeah, so I'm kind of dealing with one of these old. I trust the guy. I mean, I know he has they're really good people, but
yeah,
they're one of those people that are kind of like Highway or the Highway. And I mean, they got my truck, so I mean, this is what they're going to do with it. So I guess the best thing I can do is just say, hey, I don't want you to run my truck, and just grab it from them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even understand why. I mean, the kit that they're using is going to have a pamphlet and it tells them not to do exactly that thing. It's literally going to say, don't do that. You know what I mean? So it's just silly to me.
Yes, sir.
Guys are so stuck in their ways that they, you know, they know better than the people that engineer them. It's just silly. But I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
So here's what a lot of people don't understand, right? You have to get it hot for it to seat the rings. Okay. Most people understand that. But what people don't understand is the load part, right? So I hear of shops they don't put any coolant in it and they'll run it for 15 minutes with no coolant, so they're getting it hot. But they're missing half of the equation here, and it has to be under load, because what people don't understand is that when you have it under boost, the rings are being pushed against the sidewall of the liner. It actually pushes the rings out and into the liner. So if you're not making boost, in other words, if you're not under load, that temperature did nothing for you at all. Does that make sense?
So you want me? So yeah, yes, sir, absolutely. So even if I am empty, I got to drive away my brakes to kind of and just pretty much give it hell. Try to just work the hell bit and get the boost up however I can, because I really don't even have any hills around here either.
Yeah, but you can find. Yeah, I mean, if you're desperate, right? If you're desperate, you can find even a little rolling hill. Okay, and you could turn around and hit it as many times as possible, and just get up in a higher gear, maybe 7th direct or something, or 7th over, assuming you have an 18 speed. And yeah, you can use your brake. You're damn right. I'd rather burn up a little bit of brake than ruin my new rebuild, personally. And if you can get that engine fan to come on 3 or 4 times, you're probably good to go.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Another quick question. I know this is like an opinion type question. I'm looking at getting a second truck after I'm done paying for all this. And what cat would you recommend? I mean, I know they're not known for fuel mileage, but I mean, I'm driving nothing over 80,000 pounds, and I'll probably want a 379. What would be your best motor or year of motor for fuel mileage? Or are they all just the same? I mean, you're lucky to get 5.5 out of them.
No, if you go older than the Acert, you're going to see a little bit better fuel mileage. If your main concern is fuel mileage, the Acert's not the one, right? The Acert's going to predictably get the worst fuel mileage. So that, I mean, but they all get horrible. Ask me how I know, right? I own.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that's all you fan pretty much. So figured you'd be the one to give the best opinion.
I own 2 trucks with N14s, and I owned 160 series Detroit. But all the rest of them were cats, and anywhere from B models. I pretty much, and I don't think there's, other than the C16, there isn't a single cat engine that I did not own in a truck. In the C15 class of engines, from the B model all the way up. All NXS, BXS, MXS, 6NZ, 6TS, 5EK, every single one. I owned every single one of them, and they're all very comparable engines, but the Acerts get horrible fuel mileage. They all do, really, but the Acert's the worst.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, sir. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. You too. Bye. I think I own more 6NZs than any other engine. I had quite a few trucks with the 6NZ. Just musing to myself. Franklin, you're on the air.
Hey, how are you, sir? Thanks for taking the call. I got a 2015 powered glider. Came from factory reman in it with a HK60, 14-liter pre-emission. And my buddy has a sister truck to it. They're a couple digits off in the VIN number. And we're both pushing 800,000 miles, getting ready for a rebuild. Are you finding heads available for these? Does Heavy Highway Parts have a head available for these? That seems to be a problem.
Depends.
And what's the lead time on getting in?
So there is one head out there in your 60 series family that is hard to get. I have always been able to get that head, but main reason is because I'm able to throw weight around a little bit. You know what I mean? But that'll come.
These are the 14-liter pre-emission 2002 motors.
Right. And I would have to look at the casting number and in fact, anybody that is trying to get that head for you, they cannot figure it out off the engine serial number. They have to have the casting number. Because
my buddy ran in.
So
my buddy ran into it, and actually the head he got was bad.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's because there is no new ones out there. They just reman them, right? Because they didn't make enough of them for any aftermarket person to be interested enough to make any of them. And that's the problem you run into. But just because he had that one, believe it or not, doesn't mean that you do.
No. Oh, well, he had what? The bad head?
No, just because he has that particular head that's really hard to get doesn't mean that you do.
Okay, well, they're sister trucks, like I said, and they were both factory power gliders.
I understand, but it doesn't mean you guys have the same heads. Just trust me on that one. You'd be surprised.
All right. So
hopefully,
on to next question. How far out are you on doing a 60 series?
Oh man, you'd have to get a hold of us. I try not to. I want to try kind of forever to not let this turn into any kind of sales pitch. It's just not why I'm on here. And I understand.
I know. Yeah.
But just kind of
we can do that. We can get offline and I can call in.
Yeah,
I can call in.
Just give us a call. I mean, but kind of put it into perspective. The girls have been telling people we're like 12 to 14 weeks out, but that's because they were telling people we were 3 to 4 weeks out, and we got so buried in work that we had to shut down for the month of March. So I think they're being pretty cautious right now. I don't think we're actually that far out, but I'd have to confer with them and find out.
Yeah, for my purposes, I still got a good running truck. I just fix shit before it breaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I see the signs of things that's coming, and so the actual start date would be more for me than being 6 weeks out. It's just doesn't matter if it's 8 weeks out. It's just the date when you start. You start.
Yeah, we tell everyone.
You know what I mean?
We tell everyone 10 to 12 days.
All right. That's cool. And for a HK60 14 liter, what are we looking at? It's probably going to need counterbores and deck.
I don't know, man. You just give us a call. I really don't want to sell something on here. You know what I mean?
All right.
Brother?
Well, she's been a great truck. This one's made the Alaskan Highway trip 4 times in Newfoundland and everything else. So
awesome.
Keep rolling her. I got some buddies up there with an Acert up on the Dalton Highway right now. Took a team load up. So
nice, awesome.
Anyway, thanks for taking the call, and we'll be getting in touch with you when we get ready to have this one built. We'll take her down there to see you in San Antonio.
Yeah, you don't have to have the truck here to get on our board as well. So just get a hold of us, and we can, we can kind of give you a consultation and a quote, and you just kind of do what you want with it from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and all the bolt-on stuff, all the bolt-on stuff's already been changed.
10-4, right on.
Yep. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the call.
Yep. Have a good night.
Yep.
All right. Oh shit. I guess I didn't hit the button. All right, Adam, you're on the air, brother. What do we got?
Yes, sir. Hey, I won't take up much of your time. I just had a quick question. I said X15 on the deal, but I've got a Cummins ISX, and it is got a little bit of a knock in what I think is the head, but it's also blowing oil out the blow-by a little bit. We drove it like 700 miles with the load after we figured this out because we had to get it home. It's a cheap truck, not worth putting the money in to overhaul it, but I didn't know if a guy tore into it to see if it didn't need an overhaul and it's just a head, or obviously since it's blowing oil out the blow-by, it probably needs an in-frame.
Well, I wouldn't be as concerned about the oil out the blow-by as I would be about what noise it's making. But I can tell you there's probably a correlation there. Usually when you have unchecked blow-by, which what that means is you have combustion gas going into the crankcase, which means your oil is filling up with soot and your oil is getting scorched to 2,000 degrees. That one of the first signs of that is massive valve train damage, especially in your ISXs, right? So probably those two things probably correlate. You probably have a pin and roller or two that have ate into the camshaft, and it's just waste. One or two spots is wasted. Once they start to go, they eat up pretty quick.
And that's my assumption. We were pulling a hill on a hot day, and that truck doesn't have a oil temperature sensor, so I'm sure the oil got too hot or something. I mean, I don't know. It's got a lot of miles on it, so it probably needs an in-frame, but I've obviously heard from your other conversations. I got to figure out how to get a hold of your shop to get a quote and maybe bring it to you. But anyway, I don't know. It's a cheap truck. You spend $20,000 on an overhaul, and then it's still a $10,000 truck, but it ain't going to bring you ain't get 2,500 out of it without an engine that runs. I mean, it runs, but you know what I mean? And then the other question I had was, we bought 9 X15s, 579 automatic, trying to decide whether to delete them or not, or to take stuff off. We don't want to spend the money, but if it'll prolong, I mean, they're 600,000 mile trucks, prolong the life of needing overhauled. I mean, we looked at blow by, because I know counterbore was bad at the factory when they built some of them engines, but picked the ones with the least amount of blow by. But I didn't know if that taking stuff off is better or worse for them engines.
And my followers always hate to hear this, but it's the opposite. Deleting them massively accelerates the amount of time before you have to overhaul them. And the reason is, and I'll just give a quick overview, is the EGR valve, whether we agree with them or not, and whether we like them or not, their job of that EGR is to cool the combustion by 20% and thereby reducing or even eliminating NOx emission. So when you get rid of it, you're doing two things. You're raising the internal temperature by 20%. And guys go, well, my EGTs went way down. I don't give a shit what your EGTs did. I don't care what it's doing way back there on your exhaust. Inside the engine, it is 20% hotter. And now you've also, since it's not retarded anymore, the pressures in that cylinder astronomically higher. And you're going to walk the liner sooner, and you're going to crack the head out way faster. The best thing you can do for the ISX platform is to get and this is my opinion, right? Is to get either a PDI or a full tilt intake manifold and a PDI or full tilt or whoever. Not as important on the exhaust manifold, but get a good exhaust manifold and a good intake manifold, and your money is way better spent there. Way better spent there. You're gonna see. Again, you're going to see those lower EGTs, but it's not at the cost of raising the internal temperature. You're going to get better fuel mileage, and you're going to get a little bit more horsepower out of them. And that is the best thing you can do to increase their longevity, is get the damn heat off of those liners.
Yep, which it's a X15, but you're saying it's better to leave them. But you can get aftermarket intake and exhaust manifolds for them without taking anything else off.
Oh yeah, PDI probably currently makes the best intake manifold for the X15. And then all kinds, full tilt, all kinds of guys make good exhaust manifolds. PDI makes a good exhaust manifold as well for those. But if I was going to be throwing money at one, that's where if I owned one, I wouldn't even put a mile on it without that stuff on it. Not even, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, but leave everything else stock as long as the guy can keep the truck running, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and all you got to do is tell any of those guys, you can get all that stuff from HHP as well. And I'm a dealer for all that stuff as well, right? But all you got to do is specify that it's stock. In other words, it's not deleted. And you'll get the appropriate ones that are for just plug and play. You just take the old one off, put the new one on, plug it all in, and now you're breathing on 5 and 6 like you're supposed to, and everything's all way better.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it. How do I find? I've commented, I can't find out where to get a hold of. I know you don't want to make this a sales pitch, but how do I get a hold of whoever to get a quote and get on your list for ISX?
Man, I can't. I want to give you my shop number, but I don't know it by heart, which is ridiculous. Give me 1 sec. Maybe my old lady will post it in the comments there. I'm watching the comments. Maybe she'll post the shop number, and I'll tell you what. Are you listening?
Yes.
If you're listening to the show,
Oh,
I'll say the number here in just a little bit. Okay.
okay.
I'm sure my old lady's watching and she'll post it up. So what?
I'll try to find it. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I know guys can find them pretty easy, and you can also look up Bennett Truck Center as well. They're a lot more public, and they would. I mean, those are my sons. They will get you over to.
So, and that's the reason I thought you were closer to me, because Bennett trucks run. I'm in the Panhandle, and Bennett trucks run over here all the time. So I was like, man, I see Bennett trucks in his deal. I'm like, they're a really big company, but I guess I didn't put two and two together.
That's a different company. I'm probably related to them. They bring a lot of trucks to me, a lot, and their leasers come here.
Yep.
So the Bennett trucks are in my shop all the time. We just had four of them here, but they're not directly related. But the area that they come from is exactly where my family line all comes from. So I guarantee I'm related to them, but I've never looked into it. But I'm talking about Bennett Truck Center, right? Those guys.
Okay.
And also on my Facebook, if you find me on Facebook, my number's posted on there. I don't even know how to get it off of there, but my number's posted on Facebook. You can actually find my number on Facebook.
Okay.
All right, brother, man.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, there's the number.
You too, bye.
Hang on. I'll get the number. Hang on. I see it. 786. Let me write this down. 210-786-1570. Yep, that's right. All right, my vision's not good enough to see all the way across the room to where my phone's hanging on the wall, but the note, you ready?
Yeah.
The number's 210-786-1570.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. See you. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. We still have, I think we still got quite a bit of time here. Yeah, we still have a whole hour. So if you're hanging on, I'm going to try and get to you. I am going to have to go pee, though. I drank this whole freaking 19.2 fluid ounces of liquid death, and she's working right through me. So I am going to have to take about a 2-minute intercession. All right, Corky, you there?
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
No, you go ahead. What'd you call for?
Yeah, I'm here. I got another C15 Acert question here. It's a MaxxForce in a 2005. And I bought this truck not too long ago, and I'm fixing it up here, but it was just rebuilt, and it's got straight pipes on it. And they said that the IBAs are disconnected or unplugged or whatever. So I was just worried about, because I heard you talking about the motor is 18-1. Is that correct? Stock?
Yes. So the thing I
you
would
said
worry
that's
about is if the VBAs are disconnected.
VBAs.
Yep.
Yes.
And IVA and VBA are this interchangeable words. You have intake valve actuator and variable valve actuator. Either one works for the Acert.
Same.
In fact, Cat will call them either one interchangeably in their manuals. It's kind of goofy, but anyway, your VBA, you can't just unplug them without it derating the truck. So that means that there's a tune on the truck that has eliminated those VBAs. That would be my big concern if I owned that truck. It wouldn't be as much that the VBAs aren't working, because here's something that a lot of people don't know. The VBAs do not start to work until the oil gets above 180 degrees. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to drive without the VBAs on, you do it every time you start the truck and start driving around, right? If the VBAs are not working on an 18-1 under pressure and hot, it is very hard on it because it's not meant to operate like that, right? But I would be more worried about whatever tune
So
is on it
yeah.
that's contributing to that than anything else.
Okay. All right. Can you buy a tune? I just bought this truck, so it was just rebuilt, but it's got straight pipes on it too. So it doesn't have the catalytic mufflers anymore on
No,
it.
I'm with you.
So, yeah. So I don't know. Is there somebody that sells a tune for that? A tuner kit or
I mean,
what do you want to go?
Cat can throw a 550 tune on it. I can, obviously.
Oh, they can. Okay.
Oh yeah. As long as you don't have anything crazy going on, you can just plug the VVA.
No.
The VVAs are probably not only unplugged. They're probably also backed out. So you need somebody to reset the lash on them. Plug them back in, have somebody put a regular tune on that thing, and she'll last a lot longer for you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So they said that they had a problem with one of the or two of them or whatever were not working or something, so they disconnected them all.
9 out of 10 times, that is an internal wiring harness problem and not a VVA problem.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, I have to get it. Get it down to CAT or something here and get a. It's a 475 horse right now, but I'd like to go to a 550 if possible.
Oh yeah, yep. It should cost you the same no matter where you go to do either 550 or 475, and no one should have any problem doing that, even CAT.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You bet. Yeah, bye.
All right, guys. If you're watching on TikTok, I appreciate you for watching. But if you want to hear the caller audio, you got to be on Facebook or YouTube. We are streaming live there. Let me go make sure we're still streaming live there. We're still streaming live there. Perfect. Okay. The number to call in, guys. I know I haven't been saying it, so I'll say it one more time. It's 573-422-4225. If you want to be a part of the show. Jose, I think that's how I say your name. You there?
Yeah, hi, hey, Aaron. I have a question. So, I bought a 2014 ISX. So I believe it's a 2250. I don't have any history on the truck. I was thinking about doing the main bearing since it's got 760,000 miles on it. But I was noticing that the oil pressure is pretty, I want to say high, but it's pretty within spec. When you start the truck up on a cold morning, it'll be about 42, 43. And then, it'll gradually drop down as the oil gets hotter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything. I don't know. I don't hear anything. I've had a few of these engines, and I don't see anything out of the ordinary with this. So should I go based off that oil pressure to say that the main bearings are good, or should I just, or what would be another way of checking them out?
Oil sample.
To see if they need.
The best way is with an oil sample. The best way to figure out if you're having a premature or excessive or even whatever bearing wear is an oil sample, and the easiest way to do it, and the only reason I promote these guys is because what I've used for years, and it's very convenient. I just go on Amazon and order under my hood, and they send it right to your door, and then everything's in the package. They send you the bottle, you fill up the bottle, you put it back in the package they gave you. It's already pre-postage paid. You send it to them. You fill out the card, you send it to them, and a couple of days later, they send you an email with a complete breakdown of what's going on. And it's like 20.
Okay, because somebody else told me
it's like $20.
Okay, got you. Okay, because somebody else suggested that next time I do an oil change, bring down the pan, take off a bearing, and just see if they've been replaced or not. Which I find that kind of, I don't know.
No, so part of the problem with
what
that.
do you think about that option?
So part of the problem with that, like I have a truck literally in my shop right now, and I've been telling myself I need to make a video on this thing, and this thing had work done to it recently, and that's what they did. They rolled new rods and mains, and they introduced a bunch of foreign debris into it, right? I would be much more worried about you dropping one to inspect it and introducing foreign material into it than I would be about I mean, take an oil sample, man. It's going to tell you it's going to tell you everything, you know. And if you're not sure what what it's telling you, find somebody that knows, you know, maybe get a hold of us, send us a picture, we'll take a look at it for you. Or, you know, but there's lots of shops out there that know what they're looking at when they look at those. You're looking for any of those high coppers and stuff like that, right? And if there's no red lines on it, run it and take another oil sample in 20,000 or 30,000.
Okay. Okay, and then the same thing regarding these engines. You know, they're good at dropping liners. Does it ever come to a point where you can't rebuild the same block? You know, like let's say I get an in-frame done, and you know I run it for another, you know, 500,000, and it drops liners again. And does it ever come to a point where you can't rebuild these anymore because you do counter bores and puts?
So there's two things that will make the ISX not rebuildable again to a degree. Number one is fretting, which is why I'm not a proponent of the stainless shims that everybody likes to use. There's an argument to be made there that for a longer period of time, you will avoid liners dropping by using stainless shims over brass. The problem I have with stainless shims is once you do have to get into it again, the odds of you having massive fretting on the counter ledge is really, really high. And usually it means that you have junked the block, right? I mean, that's really my only argument against the stainless shims. I know that they hold up. We use them as well. I have a shop that makes them for me, but the only time I use them is when I'm going so deep that I can't use a double stacked brass, right? So if I'm going more than 40,000, so if I'm going to go down there 50, 60s, I'm going to get a custom shim made and use stainless. So I will use them as well. I'm not totally knocking them, but I don't agree with guys using them. Even though you're going to get more longevity, you're really doing the owner of that engine a disservice. The other thing is you can only go so deep. Spec is 40,000s, right? So if I have to go farther than that, you have to agree with me that you're kind of taking some risk on, right? But it doesn't mean the block is ruined. What we'll do is we'll pull the damn thing out and we'll take it down and we'll put new lowers in it and start over. So even then your block's not not ruined, right?
Right. Okay. All right, well, man, I think that was it. Yeah, I think that's about it. I just had a question about that because somebody told me that, you know, you can only rebuild them once or twice and then look for another block. And yeah. What other solution is there to this whole, you know, dropping liner that these engines are famous for? Because
get it going about 80 miles an hour and run it off of a cliff.
Yeah, man, no, because it does have good power, but you know everything checks out. So, see if I can get $1 million out of it. We'll see.
All right, brother, man. Yeah, just take some oil samples and quit stressing out about it and go make some money.
Sounds good. Thank you,
brother. Have a good night.
Thank you too.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and just go right on over here to Bruce. You're on the air.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Amazing, man. What can I do for you?
I'm having a problem, and I watch a lot of your videos. I appreciate what you do here with these phone calls. I got a Big Cam 4 and a 1990 LPL 9000. Due to my own stupidity and fault, I had a bad oil cooler for a while. Now I notice I have coolant in my fuel filter. How do I find out where the problem is?
Okay, start over again. I was daydreaming and literally didn't hear what you said.
Okay.
Okay. Due to your own fault, you did what now?
I had a bad oil cooler for a while.
Okay.
On a Big Cam 4.
Okay.
Got it all fixed up, cleaned out, flushed out. Now I notice I have some coolant in my fuel filter. So I believe I have a problem in one of my heads. How do I figure out which head to go after?
Oh, man. Yeah, you got an injector cut bad, probably. So my first question would be, when you were having this oil cooler problem, were you having overheating issues?
According to the gauges, no. Doesn't mean that it didn't overheat, but
have you had any?
It went for a while.
Has there been any time in the last 6 months or so prior to this coolant showing up in your fuel where you had an event happen of any kind where you had to add coolant a gallon or more?
No, actually, no. But like I said, it's my own fault. So obviously there was a lot of oil in the coolant when I discovered the problem. And
right. So probably.
So yes, there probably was a time.
Probably the heads got excessively hot. Because
I probably agree with you on that.
So it's probably all of them.
Yeah.
Probably. And here's the thing, man.
Okay.
If you can correlate heat back to your injector cup problem, this is just my experience, okay? It's typically not worth fucking around doing injector cups because the problem is going to come right back, and it's going to come right back, and it's going to come right back, and you're going to drive yourself crazy. And it's not, you're doing a pretty big job there when you could have just changed the heads and moved on with life, and they're really not that expensive.
So just do all three and be done with it.
I would, man. You're going to chase your ass.
Okay.
By the time you get done chasing your ass, you would have saved money, honestly.
Okay.
All right, brother, man.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Have a good night and good luck.
You too. Thank you.
Mate. I mean, and there might be guys that argue with me on that one, but my experience has been if there's any kind of heat correlation to an injector cup issue, it's almost 100% a waste of time to go after the injector cups. The problem's just going to come right back. All right. You're on the air. What can I do for you?
Hi. Nice context that you always put out, man. I have ISX. I just bought it for a friend of mine like a month ago. Supposedly was mixing water and oil. I checked the truck everywhere. Don't see anything. Came to find out the air compressor is bad. I like to rebuild it. It was born as a 475. Somewhere along the road, somebody turned into 5.5. Deleted it. It have PDI intake, PDI manifold, PDI stage 1 Detroit turbo, PDI injectors, PDI cams. It seems to run real good, but I like to rebuild it. So if I rebuild it, I like to tune it to like a 700 because a friend of mine have the same engine, same year, 2006. He's running on 700 for the last 3 years and never have an issue, and it's giving him 7 miles per gallon. Which kit you recommend for me to use in the overhaul?
Well, first thing you got to do if you're going to build one that's going to last longer than a week is you have to change the CPL to the highest CPL that you can, right? And a 475 is not capable of being a 605 without changing quite a few items. It really, I would have to have your CPL and call it in and kind of see what you needed to have. So it's not something I could just like answer off the hip, right? But you're gonna have a number of different components to get it to that. You were okay going from that 475 up to the 500 and whatever, 535 or whatever it is. And then you have a delete,
565.
right? But that's because you have a delete tune that somebody just laid fuel on, right?
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I'm just talking real numbers here, not made up numbers that somebody pirated into a computer. Okay. So to get up to that 605 and I don't know for sure, there's so many CPLs out there that I'd have to look, but what I would do if I was in your shoes is talk to somebody that is educated on it. I always just call my CPLs into highway and heavy parts personally. And I say, hey, tell me what I can do here. And they're really, really good about figuring out you know, what I can and can't do, and they'll usually tell me, okay, we got to change this, and this, and then you can lay it over with a 605 high torque or a 600 high torque tune, and then from there, I mean, if you're trying to get it to 700. I would go with a factory tune. And then since you have all that PDI stuff, I would put a PDI tuner on it. And that's going to put you up there to that 700 horsepower that you want. And it'd probably be a lot more reliable than having some backyard guy throw some crazy delete tune on it. Right.
Yeah, no, the truck has been running wonderful for the last 4 years. No issues. It's just that a friend of mine had the same engine and he used EAI. High performance kit, and he swears over it because if you want to do the conversion to push the 700, I would recommend you to use this kit with these pistons and this, all the coating in the bearings and all the other stuff. He was already told me, listen, you have a lot of PDI stuff. It doesn't hurt to buy a PAI high performance kit and then take it from there.
Yeah, PAI makes
that's basically my question. PAI must be original Cummins parts, which I don't believe in them.
PAI.
And so on and on and on.
To answer your question is PAI.
Oh.
PAI's HP kit is the fucking cat's meow. In fact, our kits are going to be very close to the same thing because their shit's the best, right? So we're mirroring a lot of what they do there, right? And we're taking it as, you know, some steps up on a bunch of different things, but you can't get much better than what they already have. That makes sense?
Yes, that was my question, because you have a lot of where to choose from. FP, like I say, McB, PAI, Cummins. Well, he swears over his over his PAI. He goes, I've been running for over 3 years, set at 700 horsepower, never have an issue, never ever, and it runs beautiful.
Yep, that PAI HP kit's pretty badass.
I'm happy even if I go 650. I don't want to go crazy. I want to last. And he's been running his for 4 years.
Yep,
so,
I understand. But
well, that was about it. Have a good night. Thank you for answering me.
Yes, sir. You too. Bye. Yeah, I mean, I use a lot of those PAI HP kits. They are the cat's meow. In my opinion, they're the standard right now. And their standard is what we're striving to rival. Most certainly, that those kits do kick ass. So let's grab another call here. Marcos, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey there. Yeah, I got a few questions. So I just bought a 2015 glider, 60 series, and it's due for an oil change. And I don't have a clue what kind of oil he ran in it. It was FS. What was it? I have a picture right here. FS Gold, Suprex Gold ESP 1540. Question is, I was going to run Dello, but I heard you say something about running synthetic, full synthetic. Do I just switch cold turkey to full synthetic? I'm not a Detroit guy. I'm a cat guy, but this is my first Detroit iPhone, and I don't know anything. You know, what's going to happen if I switch to full synthetic from nothing?
No.
Okay.
All the guys at truck stops that try and tell you that you're gonna have seals or whatever else, whatever other weird thing they come up with that you're gonna have problems with, that's all bullshit and nonsense. Not only can you switch back and forth between different types of oil without any negative consequences, you can mix them in a pinch without any negative consequence. If you're running only full synthetic and you're out somewhere and you get low on oil and you need to add some oil, you can grab some Della 400 off the counter or some Rotella and pour it in there, and there'll be no problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know some trucks are picky with what they drink, and you know they spit it out a lot quicker or whatever. But
yes, your full synthetic, you are going to be prone to burning a little bit more oil. Okay. if on a truck that's already consuming oil. But if you have a truck that's not consuming oil, there shouldn't be a noticeable difference at all.
So I heard you just say well, before I get to that, the filling the filters. I've seen something somewhere you were saying not to fill filters. I'm a little confused. I might be missing something. Where do you not fill the filters? Like fuel filters, oil filters at an oil change? At the PM, or what are you saying?
So CAT is the only manufacturer that tells you not to pre-fill the filter. Okay. And you'll even see on aftermarket filters like Baldwin or whatever, if it's going on a CAT, it will say right on it not to pre-fill it. Okay. Your CAT filter says not to pre-fill it. CAT has two reasons for that. Their suction system is capable of collapsing the filter if it is pre-filled. Okay. So they don't want you pre-filling it. They want it to be able to push through, come up from the oil pump, go into the filter, and move on. Their secondary reason is they're more concerned with the technician introducing foreign material than they by pre-filling it than they are of the maybe split second that everything doesn't get oil, which isn't even really going to happen because it's already all coated with oil already, right? So, pretty much every truck out there you could put, I mean, my guys here, it's kind of like 50-50, on Cummins in Detroit. Some guy, my brother-in-law, he fills them all. He always fills everything. He doesn't fill his cats, but he fills everything else. And maybe my nephew doesn't, and I could care less which way any of them do it. I don't think there's a right or wrong way for it at all. But all the other manufacturers.
This is just for oil then, right?
Yep. Yeah. And the fuel filter, you want to pre-fill it or you're going to be having a hell of a time. You definitely.
Right. Yeah, I know. I was like wondering. I was not sure where we were at with this because, like I said, I didn't get all of it. But yeah.
Well,
oil. I'm tracking you on that.
Air is horrible for your injectors. It can destroy them. So yeah, you definitely want to pre-fill your fuel. All the other manufacturers.
But you just said it early. Go ahead.
All the manufacturers of Detroit's, Cummins, and all that, they tell you to fill them. So my recommendation is to do what they say. And almost always the filter tells you what to do.
Yeah. You just said it earlier, send oil samples too. I missed it. I was going to ask you where I'd like to get an oil sample on this oil that's in the engine right now before I take it out. What was that? You gave out the information.
I use under my hood. And I just get them off of Amazon. Under my hood.
Okay. All righty. Yeah. All righty. Well, that answers that. I was just curious on the full synthetic switch. So thank you very much.
All right, sir. Have a good night and good luck.
You too, buddy. Thank you. Yep.
You don't really want to be running full synthetic if you have oil leaks because it's expensive, but really you can offset the cost of your full synthetic and actually save money by extending your oil change interval. Let's say you're a 10,000 mile guy with conventional. You're better off going to 20,000 with full synthetic than you are going 10,000 with conventional. And if you do the math, full synthetic is not twice the price of conventional. It's about 1.5 times. So you actually save money. Okay, I'm going to take one more caller, and then I'm going to take a 1-minute break. I'll try and be as fast as I can, but I'm about to pee my pants. So, Lauren. Hello.
Hi there.
Yep.
Got a question. I got an N14 Cummins, and every year for about 4 years now, whenever it turns cold out for the winter, when I'm going down the road, going through the gears, it pops and kicks, and then it'll straighten out, and I'll be burned, and it'll pop and kick, and it straightens out. If I let up on a throttle, it'll straighten out, or if I push past that point, it'll straighten out. But during the summertime, it runs great, no popping, no nothing. But it's only during the winter, and I can't figure it out.
Usually when you have...
Just wondering if you have any clue.
Well, I'm going to just give you some suggestions. I don't have a clue, right? But usually if you have
Okay.
if you have a problem that is accelerator pedal related, which is you've kind of said it is, it's usually the throttle position sensor, right? But it wouldn't do it only when it's cold. I mean, it could, right? It could be freezing up or something, but usually if it's dependent on where the throttle pedal is held, it's a throttle position sensor. But if I was going to just take a guess in the dark, right? There's two guesses I would make. Number one is it could be an injector that is out all the time. And the reason you're seeing it more in when it's cold is because it's not as close to operating temperature, so it's not running as efficiently on the other 5 cylinders. And the N14s are notorious for having bad injectors.
Yeah, I was having bad injectors all the time, and then I changed my injector harness, and everything seemed to be going good, except for just in the wintertime,
Yep.
And I pull off.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I pull off each injector thing, and it seems to, make a difference, so I can't find a problem there. So I think, but.
So here's one.
Just having.
Are you in a colder area? Where do you live?
Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana.
Yeah, I've never been to Indiana. Does it get cold there?
Yeah, it does. It's like we're up toward the top. We're right on the Michigan-Indiana line.
Okay, so it can get pretty cold
by Lake Michigan.
Okay, so here's something to think about. When it's colder out, your fuel's a lot thicker, and I mean a lot thicker, right? And if your check valve is gummed up from all these years, or your screen is because your N14 has a screen and a check valve, if either one of those are kind of gummed up, when that fuel gets way thicker, that could be what's going on. And both of those are in the ECM,
I think
in the ECM itself.
Okay. So I took the check valve off the other day. I found a little glob in there and got that out, and I put it back together, but it still does the same thing. So I didn't know if maybe if I should shoot back through the cooling plate.
Get a new one.
Get a new one.
Yep, get a new one. It might be.
All right.
It might be you found some shit on it. Might be gummed up inside, and when that fuel is coming through there cold, or way thicker, it's struggling. And make sure make sure you pull off the other side too. There's a screen there. It could have junk on the screen.
Okay, so there's a screen coming in to that cooling plate.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and then the other question, like, it had been sitting for maybe a couple weeks, and I went to start it the other day, and it just, I pushed the throttle, and it just sat there and pop and smoke and fart and everything else. Well, then seen something about a boost pressure switch, so I changed that. No difference. And then I seen a correlation between the temperature switch and the boost pressure, so I took the temperature switch out, cleaned it, put it back in, and then it straightened up. Should I, replace both of those, or?
Yeah, it sounds like you already replaced the one that was the problem.
Okay. Yeah, I replaced that, but it didn't straighten up with the boost pressure until I cleaned the temperature switch. So,
right, because
I just didn't know if
the engine has to know what what your intake air temperature is for it to fuel correctly, and so the boost isn't going to do what it's supposed to because it's not laying fuel out like it's supposed to.
Okay. All right. Well, I believe you answered my questions, bud, and I really appreciate your videos you put out, and I thank you much.
All right, sir. Thank you, and good luck, okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks. Bye.
All right, I'm going to take this next because you've been on hold for 29 minutes. Everybody else has only been hold for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to take my chance to go take a pee-pee real quick. We'll take this one. Tony, you on there?
Yes. Hey, I was calling. I just bought a 2022 389 Peterbilt, and it's got a X15 600 horse, and it's just been deleted. And I just didn't know whether you thought I should put the intake, maybe like a PDI intake and exhaust manifold on there. Is that going to help that motor last longer, or what?
Oh man, I honestly think that there's no better thing you can do for the X15 than put a PDI or full tilt manifold on it, intake manifold, and some kind of good exhaust manifold. My personal opinion, that is the number one best thing you can do for that engine, hands down.
Well, what about, we left the EGR on it, but they also make a water pipe. You can pull the EGR off and put that water pipe that goes from the front to the back. Is it better to do that or leave the EGR on?
Much better to leave the EGR if you want it to last a long time. If you want it,
Last longer that way.
The best thing you could do for that engine is periodically take the EGR and have it cleaned. If you're willing to do that every 100,000 or so, you won't deal with all the problems that everybody has.
Well, it's only got 200,000 actual miles on it. So
I understand, but they get gummed up fast.
Okay.
And
I was also wondering,
Go ahead.
I'm also running the Shell Rotella T5 oil in this stuff. Is that good oil, or what do you think of that?
I mean, I've always ran Rotella or equivalent out of the same oil field. Cinepec is pulled out of the same field. They're basically JV with Rotella, so I use either one of them. But I love Rotella. I think it's one of the best oils ever hit the market.
Well, we have these trucks. I got 4 of these trucks. They have truck-mounted hay grinders on the back, a big hay buster hay grinder.
Mm-hmm.
And these motors, we've got one C16 in one, and 3 6NZs, and then this X15 because we wanted the newer truck. But they sit there and idle all day long while we work.
Mm-hmm. So
is that going to be detrimental to this X15?
The only thing that hurts any of those engines from idling all day long is if they're not under load and they never get up to operating temperature.
I mean, this C16 probably has, it sits in idles every day for the last 10 years. And it doesn't burn any oil. It runs like a top.
But doesn't it work while it's idling?
No. We've got a C18 on the grinder that runs the grinder unit.
Okay, so what do they do when they're just sitting there?
Well, you have to pull forward all the time when you're grinding. You make a pile of hay, and then you have to move forward all the time. So you'd have to get out and start the thing every 5 to 10 minutes, and then pull it forward and shut it off, and then get back in the grinder and grind hay, and then get back in the truck and start it up and pull forward and shut it off. So we just leave them sitting idle.
Yeah, is what it is. As long as you're not wet stacking them ever, you're not seeing, what looks like oil coming out of the exhaust manifolds on them, then whatever you're doing, I'd say just keep doing it.
Okay, I just didn't know that they say these X15s you're not supposed to let them sit in idle.
You're not supposed to let any of them sit in idle.
But we do that with these. I mean, these cats we've had they're.
I know, but a
couple of them have 2 million miles on them.
I bet if you open them up, they're just carbon on them's probably 1/4 inch thick. I mean, I'd bet money. And it's super hard on the valve trains. So
just to let them sit in idle.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's what I was needing to do. Thank you.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night, okay?
All right, you too. Thanks.
Yep, bye. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and take these callers. Only 3 more people, and I only got 20 minutes left, so I'll just take these last 3. I only got 4 hours of sleep, so we'll just take these last 3 callers, and I'll call it a night. Again, guys, if you're watching on TikTok, I appreciate you. Next time, go to Facebook or YouTube. I do appreciate everybody watching on there. I do appreciate all the comments, all the commentary, and just participation in general. But Sebastian, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I got a 2013 International MaxxForce DT, and we just did an overhaul on it. And we replaced everything, head, injectors, high pressure pump, everything. It starts, but it won't accelerate past 1300 RPM.
Okay, so it's derated. Are you getting a check engine light?
Mm-hmm. No codes.
No codes. Unfortunately, brother man, like probably 99% of mechanics in the United States, I have no experience with the MaxxForce. I'm curious who the hell rebuilt that for you. I've never even met anyone that's ever rebuilt one. And where did you get the kit?
It was me and my cousin.
Oh, you guys did it yourself. Cool.
Yeah, we did it ourselves. We've done it before. We did one last year, and that truck's running fine.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's impossible. I just never even met someone that asked me to rebuild one. You know what I mean? But
no, yeah.
And where did you source the kit? I'm just super curious.
From Highway Heavy Parts is an Interstate McVie kit.
Oh, okay. Right on.
But it's one of the smaller MaxxForce, the medium duty trucks.
Oh, okay. I see. Yep. That makes more sense. Man, I don't know. Well, you need to get it. I mean, if it was me and I had rebuilt it for you and I was trying to figure that out, I would get it over to International for sure and have them hook up to it with a computer that has MaxxForce programming. We have a computer here that has the MaxxForce programming, but I've never fired it up and tried it. I don't even know how to work it, but I'm sure, International would definitely know how to work it. You're probably going to be backed into a corner where you're going to have to go see them.
That's what I was thinking. I was just trying out to.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but we just did a DT 466 here just a little bit ago, and I had to have International send one of their techs out here because we were having a similar problem. It wouldn't get fuel. And I ended up paying that guy like $3,000 to fix that truck, and I just paid that all out of my pocket because it wasn't the customer's problem. I couldn't get his truck going again, but I'm not, I don't walk on water. So I had to give in, and that was probably only 3-4 months ago. You're asking advice from a guy that hired an International guy to come out and get my 466 running. So, yeah, I'm the wrong guy, probably, brother. But sometimes you just got.
No, that's all good.
Sometimes you got to default to the guys that have the right software, and there's just no way around it. And in the end, you'll probably save money by having them help you because they can narrow down. Here's what you got to do. Rather than I'm going to keep throwing money at it till I figure it out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I get you. Yeah.
No. All right, brother, man. What I have.
All right, thank you.
Here, hang on. I want to give you a little thought. Okay. What I have found is anytime I need help from, say, CAD or International or anybody like that, I always call and have them send a tech out instead of taking it to them. That way I am in control of the process, right? And even though their call out guys cost a lot more money, in the end, I pay a lot less money because they're not doing anything other than troubleshooting for me. If you take it into them, next thing you know, you show up and your engine's ripped apart, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. Maybe have them come to you.
Okay.
All right,
makes
brother.
sense. All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, man. Good luck. All right, Josh, you're on the air, brother.
Hey, boss. How's it going, man?
Not much. I see your question there. You just did rods and mains on what kind of engine?
Cat C15, man. So I just bought this truck. It had 1.8 on the ECM. There's no history on it. It was sitting for about a year and a half from the guy that bought it. So we pulled the rods. The rods and mains look good, but I still did them. Looks good in there. I was just wondering if everything looks good, do you think the engine's probably done? Or what other stuff should I do to the engine before I put it on the road?
I don't know. You really need to find out if you're consuming oil, right? So you really have to run it to find out if you have any problems. But if I was going to look at anything real close, I would look at your your dampener and see if it's original. If it has that many miles and the damper is an original, and you were just trying to find something to throw money at, that's it. Throw a new dampener on that thing.
Okay.
They're not super expensive, and it's a pretty easy job to do.
Yeah, that's true. Perfect, man. That my question was a simple question. That's it for me.
Yep. Under my hood, man, get some oil samples, and that's going to tell you more than anything else.
Okay.
All
gotcha.
right, brother.
And also, quick question for you, man.
Yep.
Yeah, your kits, when are they supposed to be coming out for the cats?
Oh, man. Andy over there at Highway and Heavy Parts took his family somewhere for spring break, so I've been here pulling what little hair I have left out, waiting for him to come back and tell me. But he's back beginning of this coming week, and we're going to get some final words, and I should be making some announcements.
Perfect. And pricing as well?
Yeah, we should. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff we're developing, man. We want to do so much more than just sell people parts. So when we first got into this, we were supposed to have parts available to people by sometime in February, and we have sat down in so many meetings and agreed to delay it because we just wanted to make an impact on the industry that is more than just trying to sell people shit. So there's so many things we're developing and just trying to come together on. I'm working really hard on some very unique things with the rings, with some independent companies, and we're just, and Andy's got a bunch of angles he's working on, and we just got so much stuff going on that, in my opinion, first impressions are the only ones that last, and so I want our first impression to be our last impression.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I got 2 trucks that are going to rebuild soon, so I'm waiting on the kits.
Yeah, well, and we're also dropping the cat line first, and then we're filling that out, and we're hoping to do that in like 90 days. We've already developed an oil pump and a water pump, so we're already on our way to developing a whole line there. As soon as we're done, we're going to drop Cummins, and we have some big plans for Cummins, and then we're going to fill that out, and then we'll move on to Detroit, and we're hoping everybody's got their fingers crossed that before 2025 is over, we'll have full line for all 3.
Gotcha.
But I mean, there's a lot of these delays are like we're working with HHP acquired a turbo manufacturing company, and we're up there, and I'm going to be flying up there soon again, and we're trying to develop a turbo. We're trying to do some things nobody's ever done before, right? And I don't want to just say too much, but we want something that's different. We want something that is just going to blow everybody away. So anyhow, brother, man, I do appreciate your interest in it, and get an oil sample on that thing.
Yeah, we'll do, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Good luck, man. Have a good night.
Thanks.
I'm literally swallowing my pee right now, but it's okay. Hunter, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. What do you got?
So we got a 2020 990 that we bought a couple years ago. It's got the Packard with that 12-speed automatic. And we had a guy a couple months ago, he hit an animal, ripped the bumper off, and took the oil pan with it, and he didn't get it shut off in time, and we put a window right through the side of the block. Drivers nowadays, I'm sure everybody knows, they struggle to drive manual anymore. So we want to put a cat in that thing but we want to keep the automatic. Is there any way to get those cats to communicate with that automatic transmission?
I believe it's your truck that's communicating with that automatic and not the engine.
Okay.
So
yeah, because there'd probably be like, you'd probably almost have to have like a standalone harness or something so that everything would be able to talk together, wouldn't you?
But I don't know. I don't know, but I know who would know, right? Custom truck is who I would call. Like if you were like, Aaron, I want you to do this job for me, blah 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 blah. I already know. I would call custom truck, and they would be able to answer those questions for me how to make it communicate. That's where I would go, right? So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could pretend like I'm smart and call them and ask them and then tell you, but you know, you might as well just, I mean, that's where I would start, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've just all we run is cats, and we've really been having a hard time justifying dropping $60,000 on a crate motor for a motor we don't even like. So
yeah, no, for sure.
But okay, well, sweet. I appreciate you taking the call. So
I'll make a shameless plug. My engines are quite a bit less than theirs, and they're better.
Yeah.
I'm just
no kidding.
All right,
yeah.
You have a good night. Later.
All right, thank you. You too. Bye.
All right, we got one more caller. He just called in, and that's perfect. We're basically at the end of the show. I'll go ahead and take this call. We got Julio. Hello.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Amazing. How you doing?
All good. Okay. It's a Detroit 12.7 DD4.
Yep.
And with one of my friends, we built it, and they have a marine cam. They have 20% more in the injectors, and they have a turbo. I think it's a Seki, 78 millimeters. I don't remember the other numbers. I'm not the expert for that. So the question is,
but go ahead.
Okay, the thing is that I don't know if it's normal, if it's good, if it's bad. Somebody out of state made a tune for us. The truck is running just fine, but my question is that EGTs, they're extremely low. All day long, working around here in a good way, limit 80,000. You never see more than 400 to 500, like barely. So normally runs in between 300 and 400. You think is that good, is bad, is normal?
So when you say somebody from outside, do you mean like Canadians?
No, right here in the U.S., but I'm not sure what state he is in. It's a tuner guy that has a really good reputation, and he made a tune for us. I don't really know how much horsepower it is on it or the torque. It runs pretty strong, the truck, but the EGTs, they're always like low.
Yeah, I mean, my first guess, first of all, would be that your pyrometer is not reading correctly. So that'd be the first thing I would do is figure out if it's even reading correctly. The best way to do that is to get a computer hooked up to it and then drive around with the computer hooked up for a second, and that'll tell you, right? It looks like you're in San Antonio, right?
Yes, I'm here local.
Yeah, man, just swing by my shop. I won't charge you anything to take a look at it for you.
Okay, but let's say, by example, I don't take you too much time. Let's say that the gauge is reading properly. So is that something that can sound like normal, like running all day, like 300, 400, 500 maximum? Not normal?
No, but it's not going to, I mean, I can't imagine it would hurt anything, but I'm going to guess that that's not correct, right? So,
okay.
Probably what I would do, I'm guessing there's probably absolutely nothing wrong with it, right? Just swing by and we'll hook up the computer for 5 seconds and drive less than a half a mile down the road, and we'll know immediately. A big deal. You'll take up 30 minutes of my time, and who gives a shit? And then we'll both be, you know, you'll know. But my guess is your pyro's probably wrong.
running wrong. Okay. So I'm going to swing by and see what we can do about it.
Yeah, you know where we're at, or?
I think so. I saw your new location. I don't know exactly in 181. Is that the place?
Yep. I think so. Yep.
Or you have another location?
No, we're over on Gus McCrae. I think it's one. I can't remember. I don't know the address off the top of my head because I always reference my phone and it's up on the wall filming me. But
I got you. I know.
Do you have a way to take our number? I'll give you our number.
Okay.
It's 210-786 1572.
Okay. I got it. Already, sir.
Yeah,
Great show, and
yeah, just give us a call.
I really like seeing your jobs.
Yeah, give us a call tomorrow. We'll send you a pin drop.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, brother, man. You have a good night and good luck with whatever you do with that thing, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Yep, bye. Anyway, guys, let me look. I got a few seconds here. What's the number to call in? Hunter, I'm done taking calls, but the call-in number is 573-422-4225. I'm going to take advantage of that being the last caller and get out of here on time for once. I do this every Wednesday. Sometimes I have guests. I think maybe next week I'm going to have on a machinist. I've been trying to pull him on here. He's been a machinist in our industry for over 30 years. His name is I just forgot his name. Anyway, I'm gonna try really hard to get him on here. That will be fun. I really want to get guys on the show that aren't me. You know, I want to get guys that like machinists. You know, and I did like having Oliver on. You know, Andrew from Oliver on here because he's in used truck sales. It was fun having Mark from Big Shop on here, even though he's more of a me than these other guys, of course, but he also does a lot of, higher end and horsepower stuff and owns a dyno. So it was fun having him on here. So I'm really trying to find guys that can bring something that I don't offer. So getting a machinist on here that has been machining heavy duty engines for 30 fucking years, that would assume would make a great show. So would I be nervous of a C12 just towing a race car trailer? I get mixed reviews on the C12. Well, C12 is a great engine, man. It's very inexpensive to overhaul. If it comes down to that, and they got good power, especially for doing something like you're talking about and just answering one of the questions in the feed here. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you coming, and these shows are pretty enjoyable. Mainly because you guys call in and make it enjoyable. It'd be pretty lame to sit here and listen to myself talk. So I have a question. So happy you're live. Okay, I'll take your question, Brian, if you can type it out. I'll hang out for one more second and see if I can answer one more question. But you got to be quick. Or you could call the show. No, let's not do that. I want to get out of here. But anyway, guys, 60 series tuner, any suggestions? In my opinion, you should really have somebody that tunes trucks do it. Rather than, you should have somebody that knows what they're doing tune any of your trucks. But if you're just looking for a plug and play tuner, PDI has the best one on the market. It just is what it is. Theirs is very safe and does a very good job and gives you lots of horsepower. It's a great tuner. I sell them without worrying about it. And so if you're just looking for a plug and play, they're probably the best bet. And what they do there is they're going to take your engine and put it back to stock and then lay their tuner on top of that. So, it's a pretty good system. Anyway, guys, I appreciate, or Brian says SPN 1209 code exhaust bank sensor 1. That's not enough information for me, man. I don't even know what engine that is or anything, but, Cummins ISX 2016. Do you think the sensor is bad or another issue causing? Yeah, that's code that you're getting is like 90% sure that's a sensor, brother. If I had my nephew here, I already know he would say that's a sensor. So start with the sensor for sure. They're much cheaper than anything else, but less expensive rather. That's what I would do. Always start, if you're getting a code and you can correlate to a sensor. The other thing you can do, Brian, is you can go on Insight, and it's available to anybody. If you own a shop like mine, you have to pay for the service. But if you're like yourself, you can do up to like 5 trucks, I think, before they charge you. So just make an account on Insight and put in the CPL that you have, and put in the problem that you're having, and they're going to give you a step-by-step guide troubleshoot on how to cure that problem for yourself. So, really, if you really want to solve this problem by yourself, Insight is already there. It's already available for you, and it's going to be step-by-step, tell you what you got to do to fix the problem. That's the best advice that anybody could give you, really. So anyway, guys, love you long time. Appreciate you coming. Really do. These are fun. And I feel like we actually helped quite a few people. I appreciate everybody's input and everybody being a part of it. You guys have a good night. Thank you very much.